So a long time ago, probably, gosh, a year and a half, 2 years ago, somewhere in that time frame, heck, maybe even a little bit longer than that, I did a Liberty versus Martyrs Howitzer testing video. A lot's changed in the game. They have since updated the Martyr Howitzer, so I figured it would be a great time to get an updated testing video on these two units. Let's go ahead and jump into the video and see which one of these units came out victorious. Welcome back, guys. I hope everybody is doing well. This video is a testing video between the Liberty and the Martyrs Howitzer. They go head-to-head in a testing, and I wanted to see which one of these units reigned supreme. Now, one thing I did prior to this video is I spent literally a few days restructuring how I do my testing videos. So in the past, and this is going to be a little bit long-winded on the front end, but stick with me so you guys can see, or kind of rather understand exactly how I'm going to start doing testing videos moving forward. So in the past, what I've done is I have done the actual testing trials, I've recorded the footage, and then I go in, I make a video, I add all of this combat footage, and I just don't feel like that's really relevant. You guys don't care necessarily about the combat footage itself, for the most part, more so just the actual outcome and the data behind the outcome to be able to make an informed decision. So I went in and I basically built from scratch multiple different new templates that I'm going to be using for all testing videos in the future. This video is going to be the first one like this that I have ever done. So with that being said, I'm going to be leaning on you guys pretty heavy to give me feedback. Let me know in the comments, do you like this new structure? Do you like not having the combat footage included? Do you prefer having the combat footage included? And is this structure of data clear enough? Concise enough? Does this give you guys enough to make an informed decision? I'm really trying to make sure that I do a really good job for you guys when it comes to these different unit and officer testing videos. So that's why I just revamped my whole approach to doing testing videos. So again, feedback is very, very much welcomed. The good, the bad, the ugly. Just make sure it's constructive. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump in, and we're going to take a look at just a broad overview of exactly how I went about conducting these testing trials, and then we're going to get into the actual data itself. Okay, guys, so here is an overview of the actual test that was conducted. So like I said already, it was the Liberty and the Martyr Howitzer. Both units were level 200. Both units were maxed out 9.2 stars. Both had maxed out modifications. Neither unit had any parts used. Testing method, both of these, all of these test trials were conducted on the test server, so it was in an as controlled of an environment as I could possibly get it. Both accounts were literally identical. Both had maxed research, maxed SVIP, unit level modifications, like I already said, max collector levels, fully awakened officers, absolutely everything. There was no buffs, no camp buffs, unit buffs, skins, base skin buffs, alliance buffs, city title buffs, any other kind of buffs that are able to be had in the game. There was none of those used in any of these testing trials. No officer skills were applied to the testing trials that also involved an officer either. It was just the straight officer. We're going to get into that too. But each attack was performed from the same grid distance. The units were facing each other every single time too. I used the same grids for every single trial. They were 4 grids apart the entire way through. So I try to keep everything as controlled as I possibly could. Now, this testing was also for the field specifically. This was open field fighting artillery versus artillery. This is obviously not, impactful in terms of garrison unit damage, or just garrison production, I should say. I am planning on doing a video with these two units again, but based on, the garrison to capability of these units, or garrison to performance of these units, I should say. But this was purely open field fighting because that's what a lot of people, of course, use their artillery units for. So that's where I wanted to start, and we'll kind of expand as we go down the road here. Now, like I said, we did 8 testing trials. 4 of those trials were with no officers. 4 of those trials were with each unit had 1 officer, and it was the same officer. And I picked Antonina specifically because she is an officer that doesn't have really any kind of chance-based skills, meaning she doesn't have a 30% chance of doing this. It was just like, these are the skills, and it was applied to both units. And I also, each trial, was going in and letting one unit start 2 of the attacks, the other unit start the other 2 attacks to see how much of an impact that made. So I try to cover my bases as much as I could for you guys. So we're going to go through, we're going to look at all 8 of the trials individually, and then I've got, at the end, I've got kind of a overview of the entire testing with data to back it up. So as we go through each one of these trials, I'm not going to go really fast, but I'm not going to just sit there and, you know, go real slow either. We're going to kind of buzz through it. I'm going to give you guys the high points, and then once we get to the end and I can show you guys the actual overview, that's where we're going to get into a little bit more data. So this here is trial 1. Attacking unit was the Martyr Howitzer. We did not use any officers. Again, I am not going to go through all of these different numbers because I've got a kind of cumulative report at the end I'm going to show you. But you guys can see trial 1, Martyr Howitzer started the attack and also won the attack. For trial 2, same thing. The Martyr Howitzer started the attack. Still no officers. If you need to pause and see any of this data for yourself, feel free to take a look. But for trial 2, the Martyr Howitzer also came out victorious on this as well. Moving on to trial 3, I then switched over and I let the Liberty Howitzer start the attacks. You can see the Martyr Howitzer here on trial 3 still came out victorious. Trial 4, once again, Liberty started it, 2 Martyrs starting, 2 Liberty starting attacks. Liberty started this 4th one, Martyrs still came out victorious. So with no officers, the 4 trials we ran, the Martyr Howitzer won every single one of these testing trials. Now we're going to move on to trial number 5 through 8, and this is where I added in Antonina. So we'll go a little bit more in depth with these now that we've got an officer involved. So starting from the top here again, I kind of just reset the order. Martyr Howitzer started it once again. You can see Antonina is paired on both of these units. And then once again on trial number 5, the Martyr Howitzer came out victorious, and it really wasn't even close. I mean, you can see that, like, for the officer damage dealt, there was almost double officer damage dealt with the Martyr Howitzer compared to the Liberty Howitzer. I mean, it speaks for itself. Now here on trial 6, you can see once again, Martyr Howitzer started the attack, also won the attack. So far, it is 6-0 Martyr Howitzer. So you guys are probably starting to catch on to a trend now. You can see the officer damage dealt here was over double this time. I mean, you guys can see the gap here in terms of, pretty much everything is doubled at this point. So you can see the Martyr Howitzer is certainly performing very, very well. Now for trial number 7, now we shake it up a little bit. We switch back to letting the Liberty Howitzer start it off, and Liberty actually won this attack, and it won it pretty handedly. Didn't lose very many units, only 32. It got a pretty significant amount of, total damage here. Just under double what the Martyrs did here. So, it performed exceptionally well on trial number 7. So now we are currently sitting at 1 win for Liberty and 6 wins for the Martyr Howitzer. Let's move on to the last trial, which is trial number 8, and see what it's got. Trial number 8, Liberty started us off again, and you can see Martyrs took the win. This was a little bit closer. The Liberty was, somewhat competitive here, but nonetheless, the Martyr took the win. And out of the 8 trials that we ran, Liberty won 1 and Martyrs won 7. So now here is the actual comparison report. And before I get into that, let's talk real quick about the draw of these 2 units, right? So it's no secret that the Liberty Howitzer unit has got its advantages. Its advantages against attacking fortifications. It does a very good job of that. And in the past, like when I did this similar testing trial in the past, like I mentioned earlier in the video, the Liberty even beat the Martyr Howitzer in open field combat against artillery because of its faster fire rate. The fire rate on the Liberty is definitely superior to the Martyrs. Now, of course, there are things you can do to reduce the Martyr Howitzer's fire rate as well via officers and officer skills, things like that. So there are ways to kind of close that gap a little bit, but just in pure statistics The Liberty is a faster firing howitzer, which gave it an advantage as well. They've since buffed, since that last testing I did, the Martyr Howitzer a bit, and it's definitely been impactful. And without a shadow of a doubt, when we're talking open field specifically, the Martyr Howitzer, no question about it, is the superior unit if you're in the open field and you're attacking other units, specifically artillery units. Obviously, I didn't test this on tanks or anything like that. I need to, but I wanted to keep it very basic and just go howitzer to howitzer, since that is what a lot of fighting takes place. Of course, there's a ton of targeting tanks too, but the Martyr Howitzer is geared towards attacking units, not bases, compared to the Liberty, which is geared towards attacking bases, not units. So I suspect that the Martyr Howitzer would still perform just as well against a tank, for example, but I could be wrong, which is why I'm going to put that to the test in a separate video. But artillery to artillery, the Martyr Howitzer is definitely the superior option. Now, these are averages across all 8 of the testing trials. So the average time of attack for both units, Unit A is, of course, Liberty. Unit B is, of course, Martyrs. The average time of attack for Liberty is 31.6 seconds compared to the Martyrs, which is 39.1 seconds. So the difference between the two is a 7.5 second difference, and that goes to the Martyr Howitzer. So essentially, in a nutshell, it stays in the fight longer. Now, in terms of average kills, the Liberty averaged out at 58 kills per attack compared to the Martyrs, which averaged out at 91.5 kills per attack, coming to a total difference of 33.5 kill difference in the Martyr Howitzer's favor. Now, those exact numbers are just flipped for losses. The average total number of losses for the Liberty Howitzer was 91.5 and only 58 for the Martyr, meaning that the Martyr Howitzer lost on average 33.5 less units per attack. Now, moving on to total damage, the Liberty had a total damage value of 25.7 million compared to the Martyrs, which had 34.3, so a 8.6 million difference in Martyrs' favor. Unit damage, 22.5 for Liberty and 29.5 for Martyrs, for a total of 7 million more unit damage specifically in Martyrs' favor. And then moving to officer damage, we've got an average of 7.1 million for Liberty and 9.23 million for the Martyrs Howitzer, which brings us to a 2.13 million difference in Martyrs' favor. Now moving on to total damage suffered. The average total damage suffered for the Liberty was 34.5 compared to 26.7 for the Martyrs Watch Howitzer. So on average, the Martyr Watch Howitzer took 7.8 million less overall total damage compared to the Liberty Howitzer. And going on to unit damage suffered, average of 29.8 for Liberty and 22.8 for Martyrs, for a grand total of 7 million less for Martyrs. And then last but not least, officer damage suffered was 9.23 million for Liberty and 7.6 million for the Martyrs, for a grand total of 1.63 million difference in Martyrs' favor once again. All right, guys, that's going to wrap us up for the video. Again, please provide your feedback. As long as it's constructive, I'm all ears. Do you like this new model? Of course, depending on the testing that I'm doing, depending on if, it's based on units or based on officers, that's going to determine how many trials we're doing, things like that. But give me your thoughts and opinions. Do you like this setup? Is this a little bit more organized and structured than me just, videoing the actual battle taking place and then letting you guys kind of skim the battle report afterwards? Or do you prefer that kind of old method that I've been using? I'm really trying to think outside the box and figure out ways that I can bring you guys even more value and make these testing videos specifically, as beneficial to you as I can, and bring you guys concrete data instead of me just being like, oh, well, this performed better on the test server. And obviously I'm not lying to you guys when I say that, but to bring you guys actual concrete data to back that up, that's kind of my thought behind it. I'm all ears on any feedback. With that being said, if you guys have access to Discord and are not already in my community Discord server, the link to that is going to be in the description of the video below. Whether you are a new player, a veteran player, or somewhere in between and have questions about this testing video or any other video that I've ever done, or just any aspect of the game in general, come join my my community Discord server. We've got a ton of knowledgeable players over there that would love to help. Absolutely everybody is welcome. As always, thanks for taking the time to watch the video today, and we'll see you on the next one.